It's important. Lil Wayne tells you. It's a great song. Please don't shoot me down. The Carter 3. I think that's what it was. It's a good album. And sure, most of the album is just your typical rapper nonsense, shoes, hose, teeth, blah, blah, blah. But there are some other songs on that shit that aren't. So it's a pretty good album. We got 1 like before we get a view. I like that. I wish that happened with everybody. I wish everyone would like the video before the view actually registered. That'd be sweet. I'm gonna see if we can't double it like Dave today and continue to build the resistance. I was thinking about it yesterday. It's a little overwhelming. You start seeing the numbers, and it's overwhelming, the responsibility. Let's just say everything blew up, and I became some person that was able to be heard. Well, then I'm responsible for all these things I say. And I have to be held accountable for all these things I say. There's a lot of people that don't like what I say. And I wonder how that would work out. Would that be okay? It's strange to me how, just how people function, whether it's racism or it's sexism or it's bigotry of any sort. Anytime you see one of those protect our religious freedoms signs in someone's yard, 100% of the time that's a Christian. They don't think we should protect everyone's religious freedoms. But at the same time, you have places like Texas, which are pushing a biblical curriculum. The weird part is, like at this stage of my life, I think the biblical curriculum is about as weird or bullshit as the official, the standard fair stuff. I mean, really, when you start talking about anything prior to like 100, 150 years ago, I mean, we just don't understand it. We just don't understand that it's like you think that because it's an official narrative, then it's just true because the system says it's true. And you don't think that there's any room for anything to be different. And that's the part where we sort of fail, because we just accept narratives that you can't prove it. You have no idea. You literally have no idea. Even the town you live in, you have no idea. And it's proof in that, some sort of scandal will happen. Come to find out the treasurer is embezzling funds or whatever it may be. And 100% of the time, 99% of the people are shocked. They just can't believe that they had no idea that this person was doing this, or this person was even capable of doing that, or whatever. They're overwhelmed, and it's like, that should show you don't know shit. You don't know anything. You know what they want you to know in every aspect. I talked about racism yesterday, and I've been thinking about it, I guess. I don't know why. Something must be brewing. There must be there's going to be a shooting or some kind of something. It must be in the works for me to be thinking about this as much as I have been. Some black guy's going to get shot, Trump's coming back into office. So that means black guys are going to get shot by cops, and the people are going to be upset about it. It's crazy how we don't even talk about it, but that situation drastically dropped in the last 4 years, where you're hearing about unarmed black men being shot by cops. And that's when people talk about Black Lives Matter and shit. It's more examples of that racism. Oh, those Black Lives Matter people, they went out and bought themselves stuff. They didn't use that money to help their fellow community. Blah blah blah. So stupid. Black people are the only ones that are ever sort of challenged with that, tasked with that. Oh, you just won a bunch of money. How much of are you going to give it to your community? And that the whole idea of the black community is just more racism, more like acceptable racism that we just go, oh yeah. When Trump's talking about unemployment is this and black unemployment is that. Why would black unemployment be any different than unemployment? When Trump says that the Mexicans from down the South Americans are coming up to steal the jobs from blacks and Mexicans. It's like, well, I know those South Americans, those Mexicans that are coming up, they're not like taking the doctor jobs and the lawyer jobs and the CEO jobs. I know the most of those guys, most of the time it's to pick fruit. It's so our salads don't cost $85 a salad. But that's neither here nor there. They took our jobs. Those Mexicans came and they took our jobs away. I was just gonna go out there and get a job picking fruit for fucking $2 an hour. I was gonna do it. But the Mexicans came and took our jobs. The whole concept is just fucking stupid. It's just, you never hear about the corporations hiring all those illegals. They never get in trouble. It's the illegals that are just trying to work to make their families' lives better. The American dream. Come here and work hard, and then your family will be better off. Isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that why, all of you white people are supposedly here? But it's like, oh, I just want them to do it legally. Right, because the system is just so favorable and welcoming. I mean, it's the racism that we experience or that we partake in is all manufactured. And as I said before, I think a lot of it has to do with the big black scary dick. All black guys have a huge dick, and that's scary to me. The white guy with the small dick who, yes, I could buy anything you wanted, and I make the laws, and I do this, and I do that. But at the end of the day, I can't satisfy my woman. Same song, second verse, yeah. I'm going to keep singing the same song until there's no need to sing it. Said it time and time again, man. There's all sorts of other people out there people could watch. If you want to watch somebody talk about chemtrails over and over and over and over and over and over again without talking about who is actually spraying them, go watch Matt Landman. He'll talk a whole bunch about chemtrails. Take your meds, bro. Yeah. And then, as always, we're going to have the Jays that come in and, say their same stupid stuff. Yeah. No, I didn't. I've been up all night just sitting here thinking about all this stuff. I mean, again, at the end of the day, let's just lay it out there. If you have some sort of issue with what I'm doing, and I'm the guy that says we need to cut off Israel and use that money to execute pedophiles, what are you saying about yourself? Oh, look, some dumb Jay is trying to tell us to stop thinking. I mean, I'm led to assume that, right? I have to assume that you're just some dumb Jay. And when you look at it that way, and I mean, it's like it just doesn't make any sense. Who else is going to be upset? Look how many juice he plans on putting in his cabinets. It's insane. And I bet you were bounce. I bet you were like really thinking he wasn't going to, didn't you? Didn't you know, like that's something you would have never noticed. If you weren't watching my feed, my videos, you would have never noticed that. But if you just step back and you look at how many J's Trump is putting into his cabinet, it's obvious. I don't know what else, like what else do you see? I want you, feed, just to give you a thumbs down and leave. Because you're either A, pedo, B, a J, or C, both. I know I'm not wrong. But I'd love to hear from the Ashton Bulls, who I just come here to thumbs down your feed and I leave. You don't, because you stick around and watch for a while. But even still, like, I encourage it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, like my feed, share my feed, sub, do whatever you got to do. Thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't give a fuck. But again, at the end of the day, you have to wonder who it is. Who is going to be so mad at the guy that thinks we should kill pedos? Who's going to be mad at the guy that thinks we should cut off Israel? Is it the people whose book says that they're allowed to violate a child as long as they're 3 years and 1 day old? It's the Talmud. It's not the Torah. They've tricked you into thinking it's the Torah. And the Torah is not their main book. Yeah. Absolutely no. Dude, I just literally asked you if you wanted food 10 minutes ago and you said you weren't hungry. Nope, you're not going to eat until dinner time tomorrow. You're not going to eat until dinner time tomorrow. Maybe. And you should be thankful for the givings you have been offered. That's how you do it. Subs are not real. No, they're not. There are boats. There are boats that mostly can go underwater. Will you take care of that?
What?
You go make them some breakfast?
Yeah.
Nick just wants 3 pieces of toast. Nathan wants a bagel. I'll do it. Forget it.
Just tell him to wait a minute.
I did. It's not a big deal. But you look at this narrative that we're given, and it's been the same forever. You know, they flat out tell you who you're not allowed to talk about. They manipulate every aspect of our society, and they control it. And they tell us, one of their best tricks is to tell us that if we say, hey, you know the Jays have all the money, the power, and the control, right? They control Hollywood. They control the money. They control the diamonds. They control this. They've tricked you into thinking saying that they control something is a slur. It's some sort of, you're not allowed to say that. Like when you step back, it's like this with everything we're supposed to believe. When you step back and you look at it, it'll be like, that's just ridiculous. What do you mean? What do you mean? The bad guys in the Bible, the main antagonists in the Bible, those, the people that killed Jesus, those are Christian God's chosen people? Does that make sense to you guys? I mean, it just, Think about the whole Nazi thing. Can you imagine the Jewish people running around talking about the Nazis are the chosen people. The Nazis were the best. Isn't that fucking silly? I challenge you, Crow. Just go watch the first 9 parts of this series, first of all. But go find the video of it. Go find video of submarines floating through the water. Underwater, swimming around like a dolphin. Go find any video that proves that that's happening. Go find a video where the people in the submarine are like, whoa, 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 because they're moving around in something. These fools talking about meds and drugs. No, this is what they have. See, this is Team Jorge. For those that don't know, and we've talked about this before, it's called Team Jorge. If I said Team Jorge, what would you think? What would you think if I told you Team Jorge? Mexican. You'd think it was Latino of some sort, right? And yet, this Israeli black ops, just one of many Israeli black ops organizations that specializes in cyber espionage, hacking, bot farming, shit like that. This one group is called Team Jorge. It just in the name itself, you see the manipulation happening. They don't call it Team Irving, Team Hyam, Team Schmeckel. It's Team Jorge for a reason. It's all about misdirection. And if you look up Team Jorge, Jorge, Israel, and then you just click enter in your Google machine, it'll literally answer all of your questions, right? Lions win plus 14, sure. Lions don't win on Thanksgiving. Like, share, sub. God, I hate this weed.
Yeah. It's a gaggy kind.
Right, but it's so good. It's the good shit. No. I'll take that bet. I mean, again, they've convinced us that we should be gambling and stuff. To just because we all try to gamble, we all play the lotto, we all do these different things to try to get a piece of that life. The life that they show us, the Beaver Cleaver life. But what? Yeah, go ahead. What? Yes. Good morning, dude. But it's like, I mean, when it comes to this on my feed, understand that, like, I'm talking about the top trending topics. Always. These are always in the top trending things. Religion, Israel, blah, blah, blah. These are always Hollywood, all this stuff. These aren't like obscure, you have to know this or that kind of thing facts. This is as straightforward as it gets. And yet, instead of actually addressing any of the things I'm talking about, God, I don't want to smoke that anymore. Instead of addressing any of the things I'm talking about, any of those controversial things, any of those bad things, this is what they do. I'm not trying to get rich. Of course you are. Everybody is. Everybody wants to be able to live, to do life. And life is extremely expensive and just gets more expensive by the day. And You want to be able to be comfortable. Jesus. But this is all part of this illusion. Like, one of the biggest things they do is having us believing that the conspiracy is some crazy thing that we can't comprehend, some crazy conspiracy that's so far out of reach that us dumb goyim, it's I mean, the main thing they have people believing in is the idea of a god and a devil. These are just concepts that are so mythically super powered and all these things. And as long as you're willing to believe that shit, a great example of it is who is they? The Jays, the Chosen. One year, the city that I live in just decides that they're going to redo all of the sidewalks, right? They want to go through and somebody's going to walk around, and every square that they deem to be not up to standard, they're going to mark it, and then they're going to replace it. And every square they replace is $250. And so they come through and they say, oh, you got 4 squares that need to be replaced. That's going to be $1,000. We're going to put that on your taxes. If you're somebody that happens to live on one of those corners, I mean, they hit you with 10 squares. It's just, and you have nothing, you can't do anything about it. So my neighbor, who used to live in that house right there, you can see it's a little small little one-person house. She was a super religious woman who, again, fixed income, hurt, can't really do much. She gets hit with, they need to replace, well, I can't tell anymore, at least 2 or 3 of them. And she's also has to get her driveway done because her driveway wasn't complete. So she ended up getting like a $2,000 bill. And so instead of her organizing with her community and all of us going to the town hall or the town meetings or whatever, and as a community saying, hey, we refuse to do this. This is what we pay taxes for. The sidewalks aren't our property. That's public property. We shouldn't be responsible for that. How dare you just decide that all of us should be paying this? Use the tax money you collect and fix these damn sidewalks, if that's what you deem necessary. We refuse to pay. And if it was all of us, what could they say? What could they do? But instead of things like that happening, instead, people like my neighbor go inside and pray about it. She's going to pray and pray and just pray and pray, and she's going to do nothing but make herself feel better about doing nothing by telling herself she's doing something. That's one of their God, I hate this. One of their best tricks. You'd think this was like really good too. It's all purple and no. And it is. Packs a wallop, but coughing's not worth it.
All those big silly faces.
And Nick, right.
So did Mike, though.
Right.
Everybody else made a silly face, but Mike and Nick.
Sorry, I gotta blow all the cocaine on my nose and meth. Because that's what you do when you do drugs. You blow your nose.
Oh my God, this lady last night, totally forgot. Pulled away from the gas station, still attached to the pump.
Which, there?
Yes.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh my God.
Must have been.
Her car was all fucked up. I don't think she hurt the pump too bad, but
No, I'm sure it has a safety mechanism
her
to
car
cut
was
off.
fucked up.
Yeah. Let's see. We have Muffenstein, I'm not socially isolated enough for this shit, right? I mean, hell yeah, right? You have to be a socially isolated, uh, crazy, schizophrenic, need of medication weirdo to think we shouldn't have to pay for that shit. We should stand up to the system. Anybody who thinks that, and the funniest thing is, so many of these people that are like that would claim to be Christian, and you know, you're the people that would have hated your Jesus because Jesus was saying the same shit. Jesus wasn't telling you to go to church. Jesus wasn't telling you to believe in Christianity. Jesus was telling you to unify against the chosen that control the system because you deserve better than what you have. And he's your mythical superhero because he could make fish into more fish, water into wine. I'm comfortable enough to gamble my money away on occasion. If you really do enjoy gambling, I suggest you buy sports cards. It's a much better waste of your money, and it makes sports a lot more fun because you have a vested interest in the players. Beware of false prophets, for they be ravenous wolves in sheep's clothing. The idea that this guy is trying to, talk shit to me by calling me a false prophet tells you everything. Right? That's how scared of me they are. And the thing is, like, again, if I'm, why is it Christians can't handle the conversation? From my experience, I say it's because you don't actually know anything. You don't know your shit. You don't know your Bible. You don't know the history of Christianity or anything like that. You're this armchair Christian, this Monday morning Christian who just does as he's been told to do his whole life. And it's always interesting to me how Christians are so incapable of having any sort of reasonable, articulate conversation. Painting on your house and ranting. You okay? No, I'm not. Oh, I'm so scared. Pacing around my house and ranting. See, I mean, really, I do need to figure out a system where I can just sit there. Because what's going to happen if I'm just sitting there? Then what's the excuse going to be? Then what's your out? What's your, I'm not going to focus on what you're saying. I'm going to try to find any little thing I can to, you're going to look in the backgrounds and be like, hey, I don't like that thing on your walls. I mean, again, this is like the main point is to just pay attention to this. Pay attention to this one thing. If I'm wrong, how come nobody tells me what I'm wrong about? How I'm wrong, why I'm wrong. I guess they'll say that I am wrong, right? You're wrong. You're wrong about everything you say. That's why I watch you day after day after day after day after day. But think about it. Like, what's... This should be much better. Everybody pays around their house and they rent. Smokes me, yeah? I pour and finish sidewalks every day, and sidewalks are not public property. Yeah, they are. Yeah. You standing on the sidewalk is you standing on public property. It's not private property. You dumbass. Like this is the argument I get. Sidewalks are private property. Do you understand how stupid that is? Then nobody would be able to walk on sidewalks. Not a homeowner's responsibility. We are in the bread that taxes were for roads and sidewalks. So it's the truth. That's what taxes are for. Roads, sidewalks, schools, shit like that. How come if the lotto is supposed to go to the schools and the lottery can get up to $1 billion, why do we have schools closing? Shouldn't the schools just be fucking the most modern, up-to-date place with our social addiction to lottery, to the belief that you could make your life better, because that's really what it is. You want to have that rich guy life, and you know there's no fucking way you could get it any other way. So you try and, I'm going to win the lotto. But with all the money that just pours into the lottery every single fucking day, funny how all that money pours into the lottery every day, and yet people in the hood don't seem to win. Isn't that weird? People in the hood don't win. Schools in the hood close. It almost seems like it's what's that word? A conspiracy. Have you read the Quran? No, I haven't read the Quran. I haven't had anybody make any arguments that make me want to read it. The Bible is difficult enough, and it's the main control scheme here in the States. But from what I can tell, the Bible and the Quran are basically the same. It's just different characters, different settings, but basically the same. And it's all just nonsense. And every time I've ever asked a Muslim to give me, hey, why do you believe in Islam? What is your reason for believing in that? They're just as dumb, if not dumber, than Christians are. Because at the end of the day, the Muslims are the ones that stop what they're doing 6 times a day and pray, and they're the most openly oppressive of the religions. Our women can't do this, gay people this, blah 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 blah, infidel kind of bullshit. And again, you're talking about, what are we talking about? Wahhabi Islam, like the Saudi Arabian Islam? I mean, I know there are different forms, different sects of Islam. There are countries that have, Muslim countries that have female head of states. I get that. But that doesn't override the Wahhabi Saudi Arabian Islam that our government is so intent on supporting. TNT says, crazy how many of the same haters watch you bring it. Right. It's not crazy. They are Israeli bots. How else can I prove it to you? Go click on any one of those pages and see. They have 0 following, 0 subscriptions. Page was just recently made. They have no picture. All that shit. They're fake Israeli bots. This is Team Jorge. This is I mean, you've been here for now at least a week. Have you found anything I've said wrong? I know you've tried. And you're on the good side. You just, you like doing your research. Have I said anything wrong? Maybe we should replace the roof on the library. Else, we are the same. I believe in Jesus. You don't believe in Jesus. It's okay. That's not true. That doesn't make us the same. Your belief in Jesus is why children are getting raped every single day by the clergy. Because you believe in Jesus. And everyone that's just like you that ends up believing in this thing and giving this crazy control scheme in unbridled power. It's that belief that keeps it in power. I think you should flip the device you're on so you use the better camera and use your second device to view chat. That will allow you to refresh the chat if it goes down, but stay live. Yours, so I don't get called out. Good. See? Now, that's called improvement. And that's actually a good person right there, right? Because I pointed this thing out to him, he will be better for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life, if he sends an email to somebody that matters, he won't fuck up the your. Which, if you send me that email, like if I'm the boss, and you're trying to get my attention for something, and you send me an email where you're trying to, again, I'm supposed to then invest in you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's my time, my energy, my effort, anything like that. And your shit's full of a bunch of yours that are wrong, a bunch of theirs, a bunch of twos that are wrong. I'm going to put you in the back pile and go with the people that care enough to not be lazy and know their third grade English. Now, if you're saying, I need your help because I'm so stupid, blah, 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 well, then that's one thing. But if you're trying to convince me that you're, especially in the comments, that you're smarter than me, and you say smarter than THEN, immediately I'm going to say, well, maybe not. And so this person, being the big person that they are, they realize, hey, you know what? He's right. That laziness, that makes me look stupid, and I need to make this change. So for the rest of his life, he will have been affected by this feed. More so than the schools did, clearly. And he will be a better person for it. And he will be taken more seriously for it. So when people ask, well, what do you do to make the world better? I just help somebody. I just help somebody change something that they will do for the rest of their life. And maybe they'll teach other people. They'll have kids, whatever it may be. And they've made a change. I said public property. Hello. You said it's not public property. Right. It is. The sidewalk is public property. Hello. I said sidewalks are public property. You said they're not public property. And sidewalk. Oh, you did say it. Sorry. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Look at that. Look. I messed up. You have to understand why I messed up, right? Do you not see the stupid comments that come through? And see, the thing is, this is a great point too. I'm glad this happened. Because this goes to show you, all of these hater profiles that are here, that don't actually talk about what I'm talking about in the video, if I mess up, if I get a comment wrong, or I read, or whatever it is, they clearly jump all over it. So they're clearly capable of pointing out what I'm getting wrong, and they're looking for it, right? They are looking for it. If I screw one comment up, they're going to jump all over that. Why? Because that's their job. They're trying to shoot the messenger. So that should really make you wonder, if they're this intent on trying to catch me screwing up and trying to make me look bad and that I can't read and all these other things, why don't they do that for anything else? Why don't they address any of the other things I bring up if in fact I'm wrong about any of these things? All right, let's see. If you deeply, he the only atheist I've seen so far on YouTube. I'm the only one. Well, you must not look, but that, again, that says a lot. Of all the shit you watch, I guess I'm the only thing that gets through. If you deeply rooted in your faith, you can watch this and see how the world is most burning in the afterlife. Like, see, there you go. Like, people don't think about that for what that is. When Christians talk about that kind of shit, like, do you guys realize, in the best case scenario for Christians who make up 1 to 1.5 billion of the population of this planet, 1 to 1.5 of the 8 or so billion. So that means 6.5 to 7 billion people are not Christian. In a Christian's best case scenario, Jesus comes back, and as soon as his little toenail touches the ground, the 5 or 6 good Christians that exist, according to the Bible, the good Christians, they get raptured, and the rest of us die in Revelations, Armageddon, blah, blah, blah. That is a Christian's best case scenario. So that a few Christians can go to heaven early, because living your life in a good way and not sinning enough to go to hell is impossible. So they can go to hell or heaven early. Freudian slip there, huh? So they can go to heaven early. 6.5 to 7 billion people have to die horribly. So many of those people are children who have never even heard of Christianity. You know, St. Peter asks them, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And they're going to be like, not going to know what the fuck he's talking about. Now we are talking about putting religion in schools. Of course they are. Of course they have to distract us. And the most important aspect of Christianity is, again, think about this, Christians. Christians think the bad guy, the main antagonist in the Bible, not Satan, the Jays, they are the main bad guy. They kill Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Today, those same Christians believe that those same bad guys are Christian God's chosen people. And those people look down on Christians. They think Christians are stupid as hell. By the way, if you're watching, like, sub, and share. Help out. I'm doing my part. You do your part. My part is take the video. Your part is to help it get out there. Take 2 seconds to share this shit on Facebook or whatever. Help. Just think about how absolutely insane that is. And why do you think they have to put it? Why do you think? So, starting last year, for the first time ever, we've all been taught, you hear about it all the time now, how Gen Z is this lazy piece of shit generation. The kids today, they don't have any work. They're just horrible mama's boys, never told no, blah, 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 blah. We hear that all the time about the kids today. And yet, this generation is the first generation where across the board, from the highest levels of Harvard and Columbia and Yale, all the way down to like Schoolcraft College and shit, the kids were protesting Israel. And if according to people like Michael Rappaport and Jerry Seinfeld and John Lovitz, if you don't support Israel, then you are opposed to Judaism. They are one and the same. They're the ones telling you if you don't support genocide, you don't support Judaism. So embrace it. I tell you to embrace it. Embrace your anti-Semitism proudly. Know what those words mean. Semitism is a policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Merriam-Webster. Semitic refers to black, white, brown, you name it. All of the people that come from that region, whether it's Palestine, Iran, Syria, or it's Egypt, North African area, all of that. Those are Semitic people, and the Jays don't own that term. They like to pretend like they do, but if somebody says you're anti-Semitic, you should be angry. They're calling you racist. Semitism is simply you not believing that they deserve favor, supremacy. It's supremacy. And for the first time, we have this generation of kids that's saying, "Hey, we're not okay with this. We're not." And these are the kids that, their parents were probably some of the least religious people, the planet has seen. The numbers in the church have fallen tremendously, down from like 85% to 65% or some shit. And so all these kids that didn't grow up having it drilled in their heads, while they also grew up in the generation that probably didn't have the month of World War II history every single year that we did, where they drilled in that Holocaust narrative. Why? Because they can't. Now that we have access to all of the information, they don't just control what we see. Now that some kid in a school could stumble across my feed, they're not about to give you the opportunity. They're going to give you the basics and reiterate it enough times and put it in enough different ways, but you're not going to spend that month long every single year having that shit drilled in your head. We're going to watch Schindler's List this. That shit doesn't happen anymore. And it's because they can't control the information like they used to. But with this new generation, you know, they're realizing the mistake. So they're saying, oh shit, we can't have, like, think about how terrifying it is for the Jays. You have, it's not just the poor kids, it's the rich kids, it's the doctors, the lawyers, all that shit, the Harvard, the Yale, the Columbias, the all the prestigious schools too. You have this next generation that's going to graduate, and they're clearly not under the Israeli spell. They're the first generation to openly protest Israel. Can you imagine how scary that is? How are they going to secure their memorandum of understanding every 10 years that gives Israel the $3.8 billion a year we give them, which turns into 15 billion shekels, their money? How are they going to secure all that if this generation, if the next generation doesn't just go, well, they're God's chosen people, so let's just turn a blind eye? So, of course, they're trying to bring religion back into the schools. They have to start hammering that shit back home. Hey, those are God's chosen people. If you want your eternal salvation, if you want to go to heaven yourself, you better shut up and do what you're told by them who run the show. That's why they're trying to get religion back in schools. Perhaps people are generally average and receive communities protection in numbers and religion. Of course, right? Everything good that religion brings to the table can be found outside of religion. There are lots of bad things associated with religion that are really only found in religion and would be drastically lessened if religion wasn't in power. So if you can tell me some good thing that comes from religion that we would lose, the world would be lost, this great thing would never happen again if we got rid of religion, I'd love to hear it. Did you know Jay-Z is Jewish? No, I didn't. Would I be surprised if he converted so that he could be in the position he is in? No. Then again, if you listen to the 444 album, the one Jay-Z album that didn't produce a bunch of hits and wasn't played and blah, 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 he's openly going after Jewish people on that album. He should stay off the Jews, right? I should talk about the tentacles. I should talk about the fingernails, the arms, the legs of the monster, not the head. We shouldn't cut off the head of the monster. We should continue to talk about one of the many, many tentacle distractions, right? I was thinking of joining the Black Lives Matter Jehovah's Witness movement. I'm white. Well, sounds like you're dumb. Jehovah's Witnesses are dumb as hell. I do have to give them credit, though. They're the one people that, when given the opportunity to have the conversation, they took it. They didn't fare so well, but they sat and talked with me for 2 hours and did nothing but prove how stupid they are. But it was interesting. If you hypothetically removed religion from the world, do you think atrocities would cease to exist? No. Do I think protection for those atrocities would continue to exist? No. Like, that's what we do. We can stop all the protection for those atrocities. And as we don't have religion in place, we can start looking at things rationally. We can base our laws on rational shit. We can use intelligence instead of faith, because faith is the absence of intelligence. 100%. Faith is you have faith when you don't know. That's literally it. It's such a stupid bunch of bullshit. Y'all can like the video rather than like the content or not. Whether you like the content or not, it should say. It says rather. Are you going to jump all over him? No, I think atrocities would definitely must exist. He can't read and doesn't believe in submarines. The Talmud is your friend. The Talmud is awful. It is a horrible, horrible book that encourages the Jays to sleep with little girls that are 3 years and 1 day old. And once they do, then that little girl is technically property of that Jay. Now, if one of us Goyim does it, we should be killed for sure. But if they do it, nah. Blah blah blah. Look, now we've got all these J's. Matt Katz. Gee, is anybody surprised that a Katz is going to have a problem with what I'm saying, but won't have anything to say? These guys are stupid. I'm telling you, they are stupid, and they out themselves all the time. When the UN says that they're going to open the books on Israel just to see whether this occupation is temporary like Israel claims or a colonization like is fucking obvious, the Israelis' response is that they can't open up the books on Israel because that demonizes Israel. And if you're smart enough to read between the lines, you understand if Israel was doing the right thing and was, then they would encourage the books to be opened. Yeah, open up the books. Look at everything we're doing. We're doing nothing but right here. We're the good guys. We want you to open the books. We want you to see everything we're doing. That's how the good guys operate. That's how I operate. I go live naked. No plan, no nothing. And I say all the things I'm not allowed to say in the hopes that somebody will come tell me what I'm wrong about, how I'm wrong, why I'm wrong. Because I believe I have the truth. I believe what I'm saying is true and righteous and good and all that shit. Open up the books all you want on me. You're not going to find anything bad. But that's not how Israel is. That's not how they are. They don't tell you, hey, do you have questions or maybe some misconceptions about Judaism? Let me help you understand. They don't say things like that. They tell you you're not allowed to talk about it. Don't you say that. When Kanye said that everyone in Hollywood has Jays in their contracts, that Jays make money off of everyone, they're behind the scenes like crazy. They could have easily said, yeah, you know what? Over the years, the Jewish people have worked very hard to provide a platform for everyone to express their art, equally, get paid for it, live. Some people can live really great lives because we work really hard behind the scenes. It's not, you don't just make music and then it gets out there and you make money. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And yeah, a lot of us behind the scenes are Jewish, but it's because we're providing this wonderful platform for everybody. And we hope everyone appreciates it. And that could have easily been the end of the conversation. But instead they say, hey, you can't say that. Don't you say that. Try talking about the genocide that's literally happening right now. Right as we speak, women and children are being killed by Israelis. The Israeli soldiers are going into the houses and finding the women's lingerie and putting it on over their fatigues and stuff and taking pictures. This is like one of their favorite things to do. Right now, there's a genocide taking place. And if you say anything about it, they don't say, no, there's not. There's no genocide. What are you talking about? They don't deny it. The only thing that gets said is, hey, you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to be talking about that. You're supposed to be distracted by football and Thanksgiving and Trump and, all the other shows that we give you. All of the TV that we show you consistently. You're supposed to be distracted by that. Yeah, seeing a submarine go all the way down. I sure as hell haven't. You right. Thank you. See, we have somebody who's actually making sense. It's not just, well, the TV, well, the system says to think this way, so I think this way. Have you ever seen a submarine go down Go look on YouTube and see if you can find any footage of a submarine with a camera on the front of it going around. Just like you'll never see the picture of a rocket ship with the camera on the top of it facing out to show you the sky going from blue to black. You'll never, and they always have them facing down. Even the one that supposedly hit the firmament. The rocket hits the firmament. That one has the camera. Go see if you can find a single bit of footage that shows a submarine swimming through the water. You won't. You'll find plenty of footage of supposed submariners walking around inside the submarine, crawling through tunnels and shit as they're drawing on paper. They'll be standing there perfectly still, not swaying or moving even a little bit. There's footage of them crashing through the ice, the cockpit as they crash through the ice. And as they crash through 4 feet of ice, ascending at 10 feet per second, from 80 feet down below up through the ice, they hit the ice, and not a single one of them even moves a little bit. Nothing happens. Go find the videos. Tell me I'm wrong. No fair, right? Weak God is in control, not you. You just man a creation. So that being said, God is everywhere at all times, right? So God has this close a view of children getting raped and does nothing. I say this all the time. How come in the history of Goddom, there's never been a cop driving through a neighborhood when suddenly his hands start bleeding, the palms of his hands start bleeding, and he stops his car and he has this urge to kick in the door of this house he's sitting in front of. And he goes and he kicks in the door, and it turns out it's a pedo ring, and he saves like 11 children and then busts this huge ring that leads all the way to blah, blah, blah. And he's like, when interviewed, he's like, I don't know. I know I didn't have a warrant. I know all that, but my hands started, look, I have stigmata going on. My hands are bleeding. And God told me to kick in the door. It's never, ever happened. It never will happen. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why does God appear to random poor people and make statues cry and whatever kind of, I couldn't find Fifi, my cat, and God appeared and led me to Fifi stuck in the tree. Like, it's stupid. The things that people accept as miracles, and so they can overlook the reality of things. If I say the word pedo, and I say, okay, tell me the first 3 words that pop in your head when I say pedo. If you're honest, most of you are going to say priest. That's going to be one of those words that pops in your head, and that shouldn't exist in God's house. No, we're people that don't know history. Well, the thing about history, though, is that all we know is what they want us to know. History isn't real. History is just one of the narratives they tell us. And the thing is, what you're saying is people don't even know their own narrative. You celebrating USA Thanksgiving with the family. I get I'm a human. I'm a product of this. I enjoy the camaraderie and the excuse that families give to hang out with each other and all that. I enjoy all that. If I start trying to talk about the origins of Thanksgiving, well, that's going to be a different one. And I'm probably either going to do that today or tomorrow. We're going to do a big in-depth look into Thanksgiving, but it's just bullshit. It's just all sorts of bullshit. Always been kids today complaints. I smoke my morning blunt and listen and read the comments. I'm amused. I'm a millennial, and I was told I was lazy while I worked 2 full-time jobs, 80 hours a week. Right. Think about what we're told about millennials all the time. We're told they're the worst, and they're the only ones to ever stand up. Scraft. Jesus left for 2 minutes, and he's back on. Look at Jesus left for 2 minutes, and he's back on it. We got that dumb cats again. When was the last time this dude slept? Never slept. Yesterday I did a video for an hour and a half. Today I'm live again about 24 hours later. That means I wasn't sleeping any time between then. If you're watching, don't forget to like, share, and sub the video. It helps. Don't forget to grab your free download, www.the-bilderberg, group.com. It'll ask you how much you want to pay for the download. You put 0, or you put 100, or you put whatever you want in there. But you only have to put 0 in, and it's a free download. Go get your free download. All we ask is that you share it with someone. The link will be in the description, as well as a link to our Facebook page, facebook.com/the Bilderberg Group Official. I can't put it in there before then, because every time I do, it seems to kill my feed. So I have to do it after the fact. I know I'm crazy, but help. I mean, I say it all the time. If you're watching my feed, at the very least, if I'm entertaining you, pay the ticket price. And the ticket price is that you share it. You like it. You do something to help out. These comments are a den of sociopaths. I mean, who is going to do what they do? You have a guy talking about top trending things and going against the grain in every way, and instead of embracing and engaging in any of those conversations, people just want to play their weird games. Just because you know the definition of words doesn't make what you say correct. Yeah, it does. You know, I'm right about what Semitism means and all that stuff. How anti-Semitism was first coined in the 1880s to go against the exact supremacy that we're talking about still to this day. How it was overtaken by the Jays. And then in 2021, they held congressional hearings, I guess, to change the spelling of a word. Because, like, how many times have you ever heard of a word, the spelling of a word being changed? It's been the same way for over 100 years, and then suddenly we're going to change the spelling of it. Does that happen very often? No. Well, in 2021, and I believe it's because of people like me, if not because of me, they decided that they would change the spelling of anti-Semitism from A-N-T-I hyphen capital S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M to A-N-T-I-S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M, all one word, all lowercase. And their stated reasoning for making this change, that then people have to go back through all the documentation and make this spelling change across the board. That's a lot of work. The justification, the reason for doing this is because they didn't want people thinking that anti-Semitism opposed something called Semitism. They're literally trying to hide words. They're trying to hide knowledge. And they passed legislation. They changed the spelling of a word just to ensure that, just to make sure that shit stays that way. But there's nothing there. You had me at genocide. I'm an Assyrian. Fuck the other side. Lean. He's too busy trying to make more atheists. No. That's not how that works. You know, atheists usually come from people who know the shit. It's not a lack of knowledge that makes someone an atheist. It's knowing so much about what they see and realizing all the hypocrisy and the contradictory nature of it all. That's why people turn their back to that shit. I need more crack. Yep. If you scratch your neck, that's saying you need more crack. So again, instead of actually addressing things being said, these clowns pull that shit and they come here day after day to say the same nonsense because they hate me so much. Dude, your Y-O-U-R making no sense. Just like your Y-O-U-R walking in circles in your own home. Should I be walking in circles in someone else's home? Like, again, the fact that somebody... This is what, that's the problem. With everything I'm saying in this video and all the shit that's being talked about, what you really have a problem with is me walking in circles in my own home. Talk about proving my point. The question was relevant. His wife runs to the other side of the house when he starts to rant. Yep, she sure does. I doubt he has one. Prove it, Kevin, or go somewhere else unless you mean Krista. No, the woman partakes in the unhinged rant. Oh, David, the chosen young is back. This same goofy chosen doofus comes here every day, knows what's going to be talked about, and instead of coming with any sort of ammunition to be like, hey, I looked up what you were saying about this, or I looked up that, and you're wrong because of this, and he just comes in and tries to get people to not watch me. I'm so popular that other people come to my feed just to try to keep people from watching me. That doesn't tell you something? Take 2 seconds and share this fucking feed, man. They make it easy for you. Share it on your Facebook. Share it with the heading, somebody come prove this guy wrong. This guy's crazy. Come tell him so. Something. Do whatever you have to do. Oh, Jesus. No, Chris B, that's all they can say. You have to understand. That's the best they can do. Like I say, when I misread something, they jumped all. They proved that they're paying attention and that they hear what I'm saying, and that if I do screw up or I do get something wrong, they will jump all over it. So ask yourself why they're not saying anything else. If I'm wrong, why aren't they jumping all over that shit? So we have another whack job. What a surprise. Who says submarines are real? They're real, sweet cheeks. Wait, maybe you're not sweet cheeks. Oh, I swear to God. Insecure males can't help but out themselves, right? You start calling people sweet cheeks, snowflake, all these things. It's like, oh, somebody called you snowflake one time and it hurt your feelings. So now you call other people snowflake because you think it's some sort of bad rip. Oh, I'm a snowflake. Oh, it's so stupid, man. What are your facts? F-A-X. If you're too lazy to type the word facts, you're so not worth the time. Where is the resources? Where are your resources in general? What the fuck does that even mean? What are your sources for these facts? I literally prove it every day. I literally go live and read the information I'm supposed to read. Most of the time what I do is I used to at least. I haven't done it in a while because it's just so overwhelming. But I put Israel into the Google machine, and when it pops up, I click the news feature and read whatever news stories exist. And the thing is, at any point, I could read a bunch of news stories that make Israel look good, but they don't exist, strangely enough. Dude is on the side of cray cray. Right. Well, you must be an adult there. Probably. No way someone gets to this willingly. He thinks I'm a Jewish agent because he keeps showing up in my videos and I find him amusing. Right. I know most of you, when you get called a chosen pedophile, you find that amusing, right? How many of you find that amusing? Like, it's just insane to me that they think that this makes sense. But this is what I'm telling you. They are stupid. They are stupid. Again, this is the, opening the books demonizes Israel kind of thing. Like, if you're here on my feed every single day and you just, let's say you don't like me. Well, you can easily fix that. You can tell YouTube, I don't want to see this anymore. And that's it. It's gone. And yet, instead, this real person, not a Team Jorge Israeli bot, this real person wastes hours every single day watching a feed he doesn't like while the person rips on him and uses him as, I appreciate him being here. it would be so much harder for me to prove to you that Team Jorge kind of shit and Israel interference without guys like this. And yet this guy, this chosen, I'm telling you, they're stupid. They're so stupid that they think that they're making sense. It's like them calling themselves the victims. You keep seeing, Israel pretending that they're the victims while they continue to commit genocide. Well, we were attacked on October 7th. First of all, that wasn't real, never did happen. But if it did, it would have been totally justified because Israel had already killed 273 Palestinians by that point that year. It was set up to be the deadliest year for the Palestinians since 2006. And only by a little bit. The year before they had, 300 some killed and thousands more taken hostage. And again, prior to 2020, to October 7th, thousands of people have been taken hostage. If Hamas was real and wasn't just Israel's Al-Qaeda, then they would have been totally justified. But the Israelis are so stupid that the narrative that just doesn't make any sense. They said that Hamas launched 5,000 rockets in the first 20 minutes of the attack. Back up a little bit. They said this on the Wikipedia page, which was created at 6:22 a.m. on October 7th. The thing is, the attack didn't supposedly start until 6:30 a.m. local time, October 7th. So how did someone make a Wikipedia page 8 minutes before the event even took place, let alone lay out the entire narrative for the next day or two within the first half hour? Stating that Hamas launched 5,000 rockets within the first 20 minutes. That's 4 rockets per second. So somehow the Hamas, that because of Israel's blockades around the West Bank, they're not allowed to bring in lumber to help to rebuild everything Israel destroys, because, quote, that lumber may be used may be turned into a weapon to be used against Israel. So Israel keeps lumber out, keeps food out, keeps medicine out, keeps all these things from reaching the people. And yet somehow, not only could they bring in 5,000 rockets, they brought enough rocket launchers that they would be able to launch 4 rockets per second for 20 minutes straight. Think about the reality of that. And the best part is, for some reason, these Hamas just keep launching rockets into Israeli airspace, where the Iron Dome will shoot them down 99% of the time. The other 1% of the time, the system analyzes that rocket's trajectory, and if it's not going to hit anything important, or it might fall short or whatever, then they let that one go. So that's like the 1% that they don't shoot down. Because every time anybody attacks Israel, they shoot rockets way up into the sky, almost like it's Israel shooting rockets into agreed upon coordinates so that they can then be shot down. But every time Hamas does that, they kill nobody, they do no damage, and then Israel has its immediate response. Like within minutes of whatever it is, Israel is already attacking pre-planned targets. Well, how did they have all these targets already ready? How did they have their jets all fueled up and loaded with weapons? How did they have everything already ready to do this response? And you'll see it just time and time again, like it makes sense. Like at this point, Hamas or anybody that acts as such, like, why would anyone continue to shoot rockets into Israeli airspace? It's literally like the dumbest military strategy you can have. And I guess the Palestinians just can't figure that out. No. Or again, what makes more sense? That it's just Israel doing it. Their own rockets into their own agreed upon coordinates so that it can get shot down and then they have their excuse. I mean, the thing is, I guarantee you, anybody that has any shit to talk knows nothing about what I'm talking about. They have their knee-jerk reaction to say, oh, that's not true. Oh, because they don't want it to be true because, again, God's chosen people, blah, 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 blah. But it's not like you've looked into this. Just yesterday, you were looking into this and you realized, no, you screwed that up. I looked at this yesterday. I just literally yesterday went to the Wikipedia page and then hit back all the way back to the first edit just to see. Nope. None of you do that. So they are at war with themselves for no reason. No, they're not at war with themselves. There's literally nothing. They're in no danger, and there's no war happening. This is a genocide, and they attack themselves, knowing that nothing will ever come of it. Think about this. A few months ago, a story was going around that a Lebanese rocket, I believe, had gotten through and killed 12 Israeli children who were just playing on a soccer field. And when I heard it, immediately I was like, wait a minute, how could that possibly happen? Rockets don't get through the Iron Dome. So if a rocket got through the Iron Dome and actually hits a soccer field, a playground, that's too coincidental. Something isn't right here. And so every news outlet that could run with the story was running with the story of the 12 children of Israel that were killed. The 12 children of Israel were killed. This is so unfair. Yeah, thousands and thousands of Palestinian children have been killed. So what? 12 Israeli children were killed and they were just playing soccer. Well, turns out that's not quite true. Because after Israel tried to milk it as much as they could, one of the leaders of the Druze, D-R-U-Z-E, the Druze, I don't know if they're Druze or Druiz, I don't know, Druze people, the leaders came forward and said, hey, what the fuck are you doing? This isn't, yes, we are a Druze, the community of Druze. They're not Christians, they're not Jewish, they're not Muslim, they're Druze. I guess that's their identity is Druze. This was a Druze community within the illegal Israeli borders. So what happened was Israel let a rocket come in and kill 12 Druze children who, because they're technically in Israel, Israel then ran with this idea that it was 12 Israeli children that were killed. And as soon as that the truth of that came out, that it was actually not Israelis, it was Druze, vanished. That story vanished. And you have to ask how, why? Why was it less important because it wasn't Israeli children? And really, how did that rocket even get through? That's the part where you have to ask the right questions. If I punch myself and try to defend myself from myself, am I in a fight with myself? Yeah, that's dumb. You know, these are the most obvious questions that never get answered. Imagine not spelling Wolverine just so you can put 1726 in your name. Oh, that's gay. If you call somebody gay as like a slur or something, you're probably a dumb J. We'll say that. And it's that person that's already identified as a dumb J. Go figure. Go figure. Iron Dome is just a myth like the land of Israel. It's not just a myth. Well, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I guess I only... See, the problem is you say Iron Dome and people think literally. And no, it's not literally. The fact that they would have not just Iron Dome, but Broken Arrow, and then the other... They have the 3 long, mid, and short range. Iron Dome is the short range. That they have a missile defense system that uses radar to, find and target munitions, then automatic computer machine guns or even lasers at this point destroy the munitions. Yeah, I totally believe that. God, you're stupid. Thank you for proving the point. I mean, like the whole thing about everything I'm saying, I'm taking the risk here. I'm the one saying all of these facts that anybody is welcome to go disprove. If you could disprove what I'm saying, you would. You've already shown that if I screw something up, you'll say something. So why aren't we, why isn't anyone... I'm sitting here trolling you. Nobody was talking to you, dude. They're talking to you, not me. Trolling the trolls is cool, whatever. I mean, the ultimate troll of the trolls is to ask them, if trolling is your thing, and you're not just Israeli bots, then why is it you only seem to troll someone like me who wants to cut off Israel and then kill pedophiles? Why aren't you trolling newscasters and government officials and police chiefs and all of these other people who actually have the power and aren't doing anything with it? To think that it's actually just some trolls out there, actually just these losers. I mean, at least if you're an agent or a bot's not getting paid. But if you're an agent of some sort, you're getting paid. But to think that there are just hundreds of losers that have nothing better to do than get ripped up, like that maybe I'm just different. I just can't wrap my head around that one. If trolling really is your thing and you really do like trolling, why don't you troll all of your news stations and tell them to put me on? Interview this guy. This guy talks bad about Israel. This guy talks bad about the Jays. Bring him on. Make them pay attention. And really, that puts me in the bad spot, right? Because you're trolling me because you don't like me and you don't support what I'm doing. So you put me in that position to where it's put up or shut up, and I'm going to either look like a champion or I'm going to look like a dumbass. Odds are I'm going to look like a dumbass, especially since I'm supposedly wrong about everything. So why don't you do that? I can disprove it all. Right, but you won't. You'll just say dumb shit. Jesus, this dude's still going. Yeah, a whole hour and 24 minutes later. That's crazy. Just think, like, every single comment, it's kind of like with cartoons or even most things that you see on TV. When you look in the backgrounds of shit, especially cartoons, and there's weird symbolism in the background, or there's inappropriate shit, or whatever it is, it's not there by accident. It didn't just happen to get filmed. If it's on the set somewhere and it's like, look at the Wayne's World set, right? Look at the room in Wayne's World. He's got weird owls all over. There's a one weird owl, right? Like, none of that shit is by accident. It's not just accidentally, coincidental that all those same Moloch owls are in the backgrounds of everything. It's on purpose. And it's the same thing with every single comment on this feed. Every single comment is because somebody, whether it's a bot or it's a person, I mean, the way that you guys think, it's all people. None of these are bots. So put it in that perspective. That somebody literally thought, oh, this is a good thing. I'm going to type this. Typed it out. Either bothered to proofread it or didn't. You know, usually they did, but they're too stupid to catch anything. But this is the thing that's going to get him. I'm watching this guy's feed. I'm trying to catch him up on shit. This is going to be the thing. I'm going to get him here this time. Every single comment is on purpose. That's the best that somebody could come up with at that time. And to think that with all of the shit I'm talking, that repeatedly this is the best that people can come up with, that's pretty telling. You know, why is it when you ask Christians why they believe in God, they don't have a laundry list of things? They don't go, well, there's this, and there's this, and, you know, and then there's and there's all that stuff over, and there's this, and, you know, it's just so obvious that that's why I believe it. It's, you know, how can you deny all this evidence? Why do you believe in God? Why do you support a church, a Vatican that you know consistently violates children? You would think that, well, because, you know, this and think about what it would take to make you go, well, it's only a couple of kids. Is there anything like you could be given in that regard? And yet it literally happens all the fucking time. Tell me how something was created from nothing. I don't know, ask God. You tell me how God was created from nothing. Some NPCs has went rogue. Someone needs to come. God wants to be Alex Jones. No, Alex Jones is a controlled opposition. Sorry. So what do you think? Every single picture in a movie is a fork or a spoon. Yep. I love conspiracies. Let's talk, bro. Fuck them trolls. They ain't got love in their life and need extra attention. LOI, just ignore them. I'm interested in what you have to say. I appreciate it. And I understand that about the trolls. My point is that there's a lot of people that will be watching this silently and they'll wonder why I'm not addressing what's being said. And really, when you look at the level of troll and you know, it's like we could sit here and talk about all the conspiracies that we want that are so far from us that we can sit here and argue about whatever side. Like, you know, I was given this side of the argument. You were given that side of the argument. Let's have it out. When the reality is we don't know the truth until until we overthrow the Jays that control the world. We don't know any of these things is true. So, you know, we could talk about all these far, separate things that we have to have second, third, fourth, hundredth hand knowledge from. Or we can talk about, we can talk about the things that are happening right here, right in front of us, right now. And I constantly want to point to people who may be skeptical or who may be on the fence. Like, look at what's happening on this feed. Make it make sense to you. Somehow all of these people are mad at me for thinking we should kill pedos and cut off Israel. Who in their right mind is going to be upset about that? And a lot of times people, like when I say like, share, and sub, I know when I'm watching videos, if I'm into it, I'll forget to like the video. I want to like the video. I want to share it. I get in my little world. I get to listen in and I just forget. And I know that shit helps the people. So I want to help it. And when they remind me, oh yeah, like, share, sub, I jump right on it. It's not begging for attention or anything. It's that reminder because, you know, we're forgetful sometimes. So no, I get what you're saying and I appreciate you being here for sure. I believe in God because I've seen evidence of his existing throughout my life. Yep. See, it's funny that you would say that, right? Instead of saying, I believe in God because of this specific piece of evidence, you'll just say some nonsense like that. And I always say, man, you must be super fortunate because literally there are children being raped right now by clergy right now. In the Vatican, there are children being held hostage and they're getting used against their will consistently. There's churches all over the place where that's happening. And I have to ask you, does anything you've experienced, all those godly things you've experienced, are any of those more important than stopping the children from being violated, from being raped? And do you honestly think whatever you prayed for, you prayed harder than the kid that's praying God finally steps in and stops this atrocity from happening? No, you don't think like that. They've tricked you into low-level selfishness. Instead of true selfishness, which is the key to everything, they've tricked everybody into this low-level selfishness. True selfishness is thinking I want myself, my wife, and my family, my kids, to live the happiest, healthiest, safest lives they can. And the only way that can ever happen is if everyone else lives the happiest, healthiest, safest lives they can lead. And when everybody's needs are met, and you know, necessity is like the backbone of most crime. So when necessities are met, the other crimes can be dealt with much easier because there won't be as many to dilute the pond, to dilute the solution. But I always love when people say that they have seen evidence of God throughout their... Give me something. You show me how the train is heading down the tracks, the woman is tied to those tracks, it's all part of God's plan, and then something happens and the train stops, the woman's released. You tell me how God's plan, that train, gets changed. Give me some example of that evidence. I'd love to hear it. I believe in God because Crocs exist. There you go. So we have another person, blah, you have no idea what your YOUR talking about. Yep, I sure don't. Who is God? Don't just say Jesus. It's stupid. God is fantasy. It's nothing. Much love, guys. I wish I could stay for longer, but I'm on my way to this fake holiday with my family. Can't wait until I stop attending these fake holidays for profit. I mean, don't look at it like that. You know, look at it like this is an amazing experience where you get to hang out with your loved ones and everybody is nicer than they would normally be. And everybody gets to eat a good meal, even though it's fucking gross. Meat's gross. Turkeys are gross. Birds especially are gross. You probably shouldn't eat those things. But, you know, Christmas. I don't think about Christmas in the Jesus sense at all. I just think about it as this wonderful time when the family gets together and everybody's real nice. So, okay. Yep. Good timing, by the way. But that's how you need to see these things. And you know, I'm here every day, so at least for now, until whatever. Don't forget to get your free download, you know, I'm always there. Free download www.the-bilderberg BILDERBERG-group.com. Go get the music. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/the Bilderberg Group Official. Okay. Guys, we just gotta help. We gotta help each other. We gotta do things. We gotta work together. And again, you know, sometimes we're a little misguided. Sometimes because of our need to try to fix the world and expose the conspiracies, we overlook, you know, the good stuff. And hanging with the family and all that, that's the good stuff. Whatever the excuse is, who gives a shit? Just enjoy it. Your YOUR funny. My funny what? Everyone with a phone is famous now. It takes more than praying. It's scary. People like this can have a live stream. Right? Isn't it scary? Someone who tells you to think. Oh, you should think and stand up for yourself and not fall for the J fairy tales. You know, don't fall for that chosen nonsense. Think for yourself. And you know what? Again, if I'm wrong, then just tell me what I'm wrong about. Don't be a douchebag. Tell me what I'm wrong about. Nope. It's scary that I have this. Why do people keep saying bong? It's crazy how that's the easiest way to acknowledge you're a square. I'm making turkey and ham sandwiches. Sun rains. Good for you. Dude's out here asking the wildest question. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, Bob, don't blame this man any crack. I mean, it's crazy. Like, the problem, too, is, like, I want to read people's comments so that I'm stuck going through all this, low-level simp shit. And it's really weird. Shlomo's World. King Cobra collab. We are meant to eat meat. No, we're not. I mean, I don't know. Whenever you say stuff like we're meant, that means something said so. And if you're talking about the Bible absolutely tells you not to eat meat. The Bible says use the seeds and the grains as your meat. Eat the fruits and the vegetables and shit, and use the animals for their labor. But it definitely doesn't say... Well, the thing that most people don't realize is the Bible is not a story for you. And the Bible's not like I always look at it like if you've ever seen The Princess Bride, the movie The Princess Bride, the Bible is literally like you watching The Princess Bride. So you're watching an old man, a grandfather, read a story to his child. His grandkid. And then you're seeing the story that the grandfather is reading. That's what the Bible is. The Bible's not talking about something that's going to happen. One of the things in the Bible that Christians love to avoid is Matthew 24:34. And Matthew 24:34 says, it's just after the Revelations bullshit, one of Jesus's little weak followers is like, hey, Jesus, that was scary. When is all this stuff going to happen? And Jesus says, verily I say unto you, none of this generation shall die until all of these events have come to pass. So everybody from that generation is long dead, meaning the Bible shit is all supposedly had already happened. Oh, you're right. I need to see it like that. Thank you, bro. You're welcome. Enjoy your day, man. Until the Vatican take you out. Yep. Out of respect, because I enjoy a good conversation, if we aren't supposed to eat meat, why would our bodies provide us with teeth to tear into meat? I'm not saying all teeth. I'm talking about our canines. Because there's lots of vegetables and all that shit that require those kinds of things. But the reality is, when you look, if you want to talk about it from that perspective, so we have the jaws that can do that. Meat eater jaws go like this. They just go up and down because what they do is literally tear the flesh off and rip it in chunks and swallow it whole. And because they have a super short digestive tract, they don't have toxic poop inside them. That's why animals fart all the time and shit. Because their bodies process that. That's what they do. Given the opportunity, you give them plants, they're not going to survive. But they don't have the teeth for breaking plants down like we do. We have that. And just because we have canines, again, these aren't canines compared to what they have. Like those are canines. They call our teeth canines because they kind of look like it. But even when you compare us to like apes and shit, their canines are real fucking canines. So you have the digestive tract, you have the teeth, but more importantly, like most importantly, you have the fact that if I gave you a raw chicken leg, a raw pork chop, a raw steak, you wouldn't eat it. It's gross. You have to cook it. And the thing is, too, if you switch to an all meat base, so Joe Rogan does this interview once, and he's talking to this guy about him going to the all meat diet, and he pushes this on people. Oh, look, a chosen. He pushes this on people. And first of all, Joe Rogan has access to a quality of meat that literally none of you have access to, first and foremost. Secondly, isn't it interesting how the best quality of meat come from animals that eat fucking grass and shit? Cows, they don't eat meat. Pigs, they don't eat meat. They will if you give it to them, but they don't eat meat. Deer and elk and all those things that Joe Rogan eats, they don't eat meat.
Can you move this stuff?
So the best meat in the world, what?
Can you move this stuff away from the attic door while you're talking?
No, I can't. Next my shit's about to die. The best meat in the world comes from, can I have your charger, please? From the animals that eat only grasses and shit like that. And when Joe talks about it, he says that when he switched to the all meat diet, they need to come up with a better term than explosive diarrhea, because what he had was far beyond explosive diarrhea. He said for about 3 weeks or so, his body was rejecting this all meat diet so much that it was like he thought he was going to die. He thought he was going to literally shit his fucking brains out. And then once his body sort of was like, okay, well, this is all you're going to do. You know, I need to survive. I guess I'm going to survive or die. It then accommodated him. But he still has to take a whole bunch of different supplements and all that to get what he needs to get from vegetables to, you know, the all the stuff that doesn't come in meat. He has to take supplements and shit for it. I can tell you from personal experience, I decided to go vegetarian one day. I was the type of guy who believed that it wasn't a meal without meat. It's probably one of the most insane things. Like my wife, if you would have asked my wife 10 years ago, do you ever think your husband will stop eating meat? She would have just laughed at you. That's fucking impossible. He'll never stop eating meat. But one day I just decided I can't do this anymore. It's not about health benefits. It's not about anything like that. It's because me personally, I don't want to eat something that was alive. It was alive. Like, if it was a baby animal, I'd go, oh my God, it's so cute. And I'm going to eat that? Like, that's fucking weird. What the fuck is wrong with us? We're eating dead animals, dead things. We've been tricked into eating dead things. And so I decided I'm going vegetarian just like that. There was no explosive diarrhea phase. There was no exhausted phase. There was nothing. Nothing. I actually felt a lot better. I never had a meal after that where I ate it and I was like, ugh, I need a nap. Oh, I'm exhausted. Ugh. Meat sweats. Ugh. It's a hell of a lot cheaper. And I mean, again, I if I needed to, I could eat it raw. You know, if I didn't want to cook it, I could eat it raw. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. You know, I still have we love our butter and our cheeses and stuff. So that's I know that's bad. But as far as putting dead bodies into this sarcophagus, I'm not doing that. And these are unavoidable facts. If you switch to an all meat diet and you don't do things properly, you're going to get really sick and might even die. And that's it's like this is just another one of these. Who gave us this idea? Who created the pyramid and all that shit? The Jays. You watch TV, especially public TV, like free TV with PBS and shit. I guess the Jays are the best cooks in everything. Whether it's barbecue, whether it's like Mexican food, you name it. The Jays are better than everybody else's. They're the ones that tell us we need to eat meat, and the rawer the meat, the better. Why do they tell us that? Why do they want us eating like that? I don't let you do your thing. I'm just watching, not a cult following. And the earth is flat. It's not round. No, I understand it's an dirt. You can't beat science with conspiracies. Yep, because science isn't a whole bunch of conspiracies. Isn't it amazing, again, when you're talking about like space and the Big Bang and all that shit, the smartest people in the world are like these theoretical physicists. How do I get that gig? How do I get to be the guy that sits around and gets paid for theoretical shit? It's so nuts. It's such a crazy, like, you've just been duped. We learned to fly around 100 years ago, supposedly, never mind the whole airship thing. We learned to fly, and here we are 100 years later, and we know how the universe was created. Get out of here. It's all so stupid. Like, everything about science is just another cult, and people just don't realize it. It's the same thing as religion. Everything with science is a bunch of stuff you personally, you don't get any access to. You don't get to look at whatever special machinery, whatever special golden chalice they have. You don't get access to it. You just have to believe what these days and funny uniforms that are super far away from you. They tell you these facts, and they're infallible. And you're supposed to just worship what they say and believe it without any question. It's literally religion. You've been convinced otherwise, so you think that way. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I can't stand that motherfucker. I can't stand that guy. But he did say one thing that really, really shook me to my core, and it's affected me ever since. I saw him when he was on Joe Rogan. And one of the first things that's talked about is like, so, the fact that he avoided the interview with B.O.B., blah, blah, blah. Joe asked him what he says to people when they start talking about the shape of the earth, that the earth isn't round. And Neil deGrasse Tyson said, I don't argue with people like that. I teach people how to think. Because when you teach people how to think, what they think is secondary. And I just thought, man, what an arrogant thing to say, blah, 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 blah. But, there's a reason why it stuck with me, because it's the truth. They control how you think. And once they control how you think, you'll believe any nonsense they give you. If you believe that invisible germs get you sick, then you'll take whatever medicines they want you to take. You'll believe in your immune system. I saw this thing, Khamzat Chimaev, right? He's this fighter, this UFC fighter, with all this potential. But the story is, the narrative is, he gets sick all the time because they had to remove half of his thyroid, which affected his immune system. So it's your thyroid now? If I ask you what your immune system is, you don't fucking know. But you believe you have one. So, because you believe you have one, you're more than likely to believe that germs can come get you, and that you can strengthen your immune. Just take some vitamin C, or get this steroid shot, this vaccine steroid shot. That's it. You believe it, then it doesn't matter. Like, from that point on, you'll believe anything. Flu, SARS, COVID, all of it. You believe it exists because you're already pre-programmed to accept it. They have you believing in Jesus and all your salvation, and that your eternity is wrapped up in that. I think it's funny. We don't really talk about like the psychological damage we do to children. Think about how fucked up it is to tell a child that only really knows you, the family. Like, they have no concept of the world, how big things are, how many people there are, just like you don't, but even more so. They haven't been programmed with the life of bullshit that you have. They think everything you say is infallible because you've told them as such. Mom and dad are always right. You need to listen to mommy and daddy, blah, 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 blah. So you tell them, hey, there's this list of impossible rules. And I know you see mommy and daddy break rules all the time, like swearing and eating meat and, you know, if you go deep enough, wearing 2 different kinds of fabrics and all kinds of crazy shit. But we are infallible, and we tell you that if you follow this list of rules after you die, because everybody's going to die, you're going to die. When you die, you could either go to heaven, where it's like awesome, bubblegum for days, dude, or you'll go to hell for all of eternity, where the guy with the pitchfork and the scary horns, or the effeminate looking gay guy, but the big scary monster is down there. And you know how we tell you don't touch that? It's hot, and you've touched it and hot hurts. It's hot everywhere. There's fire everywhere. And all of the bad people are there. And you will spend your entire life in hell. Just follow these rules. Imagine how fucked up that is for children. Imagine how fucked up it is for children to be like, oh, I love these dinosaurs, dinosaurs, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are cool, they're big and scary monsters. Oh, I love my dinosaurs. Hey, Mom, what happened to the dinosaurs? Oh, sweetheart, a fucking invisible rock fell out of the sky and killed everything. Oh my God, Mommy, what? Yeah, and we're overdue for it ourselves. You're saying an invisible rock can just suddenly fall out of the sky and wipe out everything? Yes. You better follow the rules, because if you don't, then you'll go to hell. Imagine how fucked that is for children to try to wrap their heads around when they're little kids. And we do that to them. And that's not even the most fucked up thing we do to boys. But think about how fucked up that is. I follow God because I want my son to have eternal life. Where are you taking you, family? I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. God does. Only followers go to heaven. You know that. You know you can't come. Burning but never burning away. Always alive but dead and feeling every flame flick. Yeah. Based on what? Who did it? Who did it and told you all about it? Like, you just, it's so disgusting that you would do that to a child. And that's not what the Bible says, that followers go to heaven. You have a very specific list of rules that every single one of you has violated. Every adult on here, you're not a virgin. You had sex before you were married. Guess what? You're going to hell. You ate meat. You're going to hell. You said, God damn it, you're going to hell. And the thing is, I get there's this whole loophole of repenting, but I would assume, first of all, it doesn't say anything about if you believe in Jesus, then you know, you go to heaven. It does say that you have the eternal life, but eternal life could be you burning in hell. Doesn't mean anything. But it's such obvious it's like Big Brother before they had Big Brother. Somebody's always watching you. And even though somebody's always watching you, you still have to go every week to the church and tell your sins to the guy in the box. He's sitting there like, oh, tell me more. You gotta give all your dirt to the church, which is the connection to the king, which is the connection to God. And then you're like, how did they know that I did that? Because you told on yourself, dumbass. You think that way. It's okay. I'm not following a man. You believe there is no God. But see, the thing is, I am sitting here making arguments and to and against. You literally don't have a single argument you can make. So then you do that bullshit. Well, you have faith in, but the fact is, you believe in something with literally no evidence, which in itself is evidence against it. I'm not afraid of the conversation. I'm not afraid to be wrong. If I'm wrong, then okay, I guess I have to make some changes. But the fact is, you literally have nothing. You can't engage this conversation. You have no evidence. Yeah, right. I have no evidence of what? I follow Jesus and his example. No, you don't. You don't even know what that shit really talks about. You're just one of those Monday morning fucking Christians. You say nonsense, but you don't. See, I seen God in my life. I told you that already. And I flat out asked you to show us. Tell us how you seen God. How I seen God. Tell us how you seen God. Instead of continuing to yap and say how I've seen God. I've seen God. Well, then give us how. And again, how fortunate are you? God is busy with you, but not helping children. Show me evidence God isn't real. God, I love baiting these stupid people into saying stupid things. Show me evidence God isn't real. Prove there's not a leprechaun dancing in my hand. Doing the little diddly 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 diddly, doing that little jig thing that they do. Prove it. I have faith that there is a wish-granting leprechaun dancing around in my hand right now. Go ahead and prove it's not there. The burden of proof doesn't fall on the person denying the claim. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. You're the one saying the crazy, crazy fucking nonsense. You're the one that has to have the proof. How do you prove something doesn't exist? There is no God. God's a pedo. Religion is for the quacks, the kooks. God is an asshole. God hates children. God, everything's wrong with God and Jesus. Jesus is a fool. Muhammad is a fool. Allah sucks. Every single thing a blasphemous thing I could possibly say, shit, ass, damn, bitch, blah, blah, blah. Nope, nothing. Nothing. Well, I could tell you, but it wouldn't move the... See, so instead of saying, here, let me tell you my evidence, now your evidence of God in your life is not going to move the needle, he says. Boy, that you should definitely have faith in that then. I'm just talking about me. You talking about you and yours, right? I'm not selfish. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about much bigger picture thing, like, all the children consistently violated by the church, or the 40 plus to 200 plus thousand Palestinians that have been killed, mostly women and children, since October 7th. It's not about me, you doofus. Exactly, but you want me to show evidence. Yeah. I don't live in a tax-free fucking mansion collecting money every week, selling people lies and false fucking promises. Tax-free, mind you, while getting carte blanche to do horrible things like violate children and then get away with it because of my stupid leprechaun. My leprechaun doesn't oppress anybody. My leprechaun doesn't discriminate against people for being born certain ways. I don't need to prove this leprechaun exists because I don't get anything from it. When it comes to the church is one of the most powerful mafia organizations in the world, consistently caught violating children, especially little boys. And it's tax-free, and they get away with it, and you know, investigate themselves and all that shit. Need evidence to support that. But here, this is me trying to argue with literally stupidity. This person is saying like the stupidest things, and this is how this works. Faith without works is dead. I keep saying the subject we on. Only the dead not. Like, this is the person who's experienced all these miracles, all this interference by God in their life, and yet they can't come up with a single thing. You're the one online saying it doesn't exist, so the burden of evidence falls on you. No, it doesn't. Dude, are you like 14? Seriously? You can't be this stupid. That's not how things work. People don't just get to say, you know, claim all kinds of crazy things, again, like a leprechaun, and then get all kinds of extra special treatment for it without evidence. You need the evidence. Me saying something doesn't exist doesn't require evidence. How do you prove something doesn't exist? You should be able to prove something does exist. That's how that works. Since you did this, then you're going to go up to heaven on your own accord. We all know. Jesus, this is just stupid. Like, this is where it's so frustrating, and it's insulting, and it's irritating. Because it's blind sheep like this that keep that pedo organization in power. You know, it's the blind faith of all the dumb sheep that keep the wolves in power. And they're so stupid, they don't ask, hey, why do all the clergy wear yarmulkes? Yarmulkes? You ever notice that? They always wear those red yarmulkes on their heads. Why do you think that is? Those that follow you to hellfire will have to pay for, those who follow you to hellfire, you will have to pay for it. See, again, we don't even think about that. Like, we don't acknowledge that Christians, we don't acknowledge that Christians, we don't acknowledge that I think I saw a family member in a commercial. We don't acknowledge that Christians say the most horrible shit. If you don't believe what I believe, then you're going to go to hell for all of eternity. You and anybody that listens and follows. I know I can't even give you a simple example of what I'm saying, and I'm trying and crying every different way I can to avoid the fact that you don't have this evidence that you say you have. And yet you're saying these horrible, horrible things because people don't follow the same pedo nonsense you do. That's crazy. I believe God will let me see in the afterlife. Right. Isn't that nice of you? While God's playing holy hands with you, he's not rescuing children. For some reason, your God just doesn't seem to mind all the pedo stuff. Here, my Lord, non-believers. Evidence? What evidence? Nah, just seen one miracle. I seen my son. Talk about arrogant. I love how Christians want to pretend like faith is the absence of ego and letting go of your arrogance. Christian faith is the most arrogant shit ever. They're not only are they the biggest devil worshippers in the world, they're so arrogant. The God of the universe that is literally choosing to let kids starve to death every day and let the Israelis blow up fucking women and children and let just all of the horrible, horrible things happen to Christians. Christians praying that the rapes and all that stuff, God's allowing all that to happen. But God's like, hey, wait a minute. Wait, Kevin's son needs to be born. Okay, hey, I had a total plan to let Kevin go without a kid, but Kevin, he had his prayer jar filled up. He tithed enough. Hope you were tithing, because we all know God doesn't answer prayers. God answers tithing. Do you understand how incredibly arrogant you have to be to believe that instead of God helping all the children that are starving to death, being raped, being killed, all those things happening all over the world, instead of any of that shit, God is busy working on your kid? Oh, Jesus already won, written evidence. Isn't it crazy how again, you would think with all of the concessions and all of the stupidity and all of the horrible things that get overlooked in the name of Christianity, you would think these idiots would have more to say. Why aren't they just going, boom, evidence, boom, evidence, boom, here's this, boom, here's... Why aren't they saying that? Why are they doing everything they can to act like children and avoid the truth? This should be like a simple back and forth conversation. You make a point and I either debunk it or I don't. One of the two. Like how it's my son is evident, like that. You make some dumb point and I point out how arrogant and foolish you have to be. No, it's not the doctors. It's not man and modern medicine that allowed you to have the child that was supposedly so difficult, or whatever your fucking narrative is. Like, this is just arrogance on the highest level. Arrogance and foolishness. I got you spinning right. I haven't been doing this the whole time. You're right. Crashing out over someone's beliefs. I'm crashing out. Just because people didn't know who the Jack the Ripper was doesn't mean he wasn't real. You don't even know what Jack the Ripper is. The fact that there was a guy who supposedly killed like 3 people in the UK in like the 1800s, that somehow that story still exists in 2024. It just, yes, that's a fake story. That's dumb, fake nonsense. Why would one person be, you know why? Because the people that he killed were Jays. Oh, God, is that stupid? This is the best, but it shows you, like, you would think in this kind of scenario, right? Someone like me is saying what I'm saying. So now there are 2 people on here that at the very least could be making reasonable arguments. You would think like knowing the situation that's happening right now, instead of scraping the bottom of the barrel for like weird, dumb nonsense, you would think they would have their best arguments and they'd be like, boom, what about this? Boom, what about... You would think that's how this would go, and it never does. And that in itself is proof that their religious beliefs are just... They barely even know their own bullshit. They can't even quote their own bullshit to make arguments. And they know that, so then they just keep doing crybaby shit. Like, see how I'm directly addressing what they're saying and all that stuff? And yet, they just keep doing the opposite, coming up with some other new bullshit, some other... It's really interesting. I'm the one that's going against the grain. You're the one that has the book and the history and all that you should know, but you don't. And yet, I mean, at the very least, why don't you pray to God real quick that God suddenly imbues you with the knowledge that you can be able to handle my objections. Why don't you pray that God just makes you smarter for this one conversation? And you can finally put to rest all of the craziness I'm talking about. Normally, you wouldn't be able to say things and quote things like this, but God has given you a boost. Why don't you pray for that real quick? See how that works out. Promise you'll give $10 to the church or some shit. You believe Israel fighting a war with themselves, but you can't prove it. I believe Israel is fighting a war with themselves, but can't prove it. That's weird. I don't ever remember saying Israel was fighting a war with itself. But okay. So we will all find out after a while. You don't believe in hell, so why are you crashing out about it? Why am I crashing out about it? Because lots of stupid people do, and therefore give the pedo church the power that it has. Why would I have to keep explaining this to you if you were intelligent? If you had any like decent level of comprehension, why would I have to keep saying the same thing to the same person? Like, it's one thing to have to keep saying it to multiple people. I get that. But the same person keeps asking the same questions, and I keep explaining it, but I guess because they can't, like, it's like the Trump supporter, right? The Trump supporter, you have to be a Kamala supporter for the Trump supporter to exist. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that you're smarter than to fall for either side of that bullshit. Because I fell for a side of it, and you know smart man me smarter than you, and I fall for a side. So, no, you have to fall for a side too. Like, it's the same stupid mentality. So what's your view on life? Do you believe in God? If so, what's your belief? Do you believe in God? What's my view on life? Like, I don't get it. I don't believe in God. I think it's our lives are to live the best life we can and make the world a better place than the one you came into. I don't need somebody else to tell me that. That I don't need, like, I don't need to be told not to just go kill people. I don't need to be told not to be attracted to children. If I was the last guy on earth and I happened to get in a plane crash or, like, one of those Twilight Zone things where, like, I'm on a plane and the plane lands and everybody else is dead and it's just me and, like, a group of 12-year-old cheerleaders. Well, guess what? Population ain't restarting for a while. Because 12-year-old girls are not attractive. And sorry, it's just not, like, I couldn't even perform in that scenario if I wanted to, because it's gross. And so, like, if you don't look at things like that, if you don't, like, there are things that aren't choices. I mean, I guess they are choices, but for me, it's like there's no choice made. Anytime somebody thinks that homosexuality is a choice, it's like, oh, well, it must be for you because the idea of putting dicks in my mouth is gross. I don't care if you do it. You do it all day. I hope you're good at it. But for me to do it, no, I'm good. I'm good. That doesn't mean I discriminate against anything. I just discriminate against me doing it. But that's how it should be. Like, that's if you believe, gay guys should think vaginas are gross. Why wouldn't they? But this is the kind of shit I get. So I'm still waiting for blessed up Kevin to give us his miracle. Oh wait, no, he said it was his kid, but he's seen God in his life in many ways. Like, this is what's so crazy to me. These people just say shit. You can't appreciate the good that happens if you've never experienced what's bad. What the hell does that have to do with religion? Are you saying there's no God? 100% saying there is no God. That is fucking stupid. And if there is, which there's not, but if there is, he's a pedo-loving piece of shit. It is a pedo-loving piece of shit. And I don't want to believe in a God like that. I don't want to believe in a God that dinkle, dinkle, dink makes people catch footballs and makes people run faster than other people and, blah, 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 but can't dinkle, dinkle, dink heart attacks and clergy that try to fuck with kids. And we all know that that's what's going to happen. Those weird stipulations where it's been tested time and time again that every time a clergy goes and tries to mess with a kid, they have a heart attack. Why doesn't God do that? He really don't know what he's saying. He all over the place. Says a child. I mean, I don't know what, like, that is the mentality of a child. You speak like a child. It's embarrassing. Because he was a serial killer. He killed like 3 people. No. I'm glad I have faith in lives like these because of prostitutes and VD to the prince. Not sure what that's about. But why would Jack the Ripper be fake? Because keeping us in fear is the ultimate form of control. Every single belief structure that we're told is acceptable, that we're allowed to believe in, is fear-based. It's fear-based, and it's all about the invisible. We'll do it again, right? You believe in God or Jesus, invisible God or Jesus. Best case scenario, Jesus comes back, 5 Christians get raptured, everybody else, all the 8 billion people left all have to die in Armageddon. Best case scenario. It's the invisible God and the invisible devil, and that's the thing. You believe in or you believe in the invisible Big Bang and the invisible deep space and the invisible Earth that you can't see is round in any place, anywhere, ever. But it's spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour, going around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. And at any point, an invisible rock can fall out of the space and wipe us out like it did the invisible dinosaurs. You believe in the invisible germs that will get you sick. You believe there's an invisible super volcano under Yellowstone will blow up and kill everybody. You believe an invisible pole shift will happen because they found a woolly mammoth with grass still in its mouth. It was clearly flash frozen while it was chewing. I saw it on the day after tomorrow. They showed me that. It's probably from a pole shift. Because, the super cold hurricane thing, that's just a movie. It's probably because the earth is like a orange and the crust is like the peel, and sometimes the crust just spins around. And the North Pole becomes the South Pole, and everything and it happens within a second. And everything dies. And the best part is, we're long overdue for all of it. Every single one of these death, doom, and gloom, doomsday scenarios, we're long overdue for all of them. And every single thing teaches you to just live in fear. Jack the Ripper, well, a serial killer. He was a serial killer. When I was a kid, I thought Jack the Ripper was somebody like Jason or Michael Myers or something. We thought Jack the Ripper was some sort of supernatural kind of guy because that's how it was portrayed to us. But the idea that there are so many people that did so many, so around the same time that Jack the Ripper supposedly existed, one of the greatest inventions, like top 3 inventions of the 1800s, 1900s was invented around the exact same time. And I guarantee none of you know what it is. It's one of the most important machines ever created, and none of you know what it is. And it's called the linotype machine. Linotype machine. And it's why we have press, newspapers, magazines, whatever it is, why we could have daily newspapers, supposedly, for 100 years, up until the late 70s, early 80s, when it was all replaced by digital stuff. And none of you have ever even heard of the linotype machine. And it's the most incredible machine because in the 1880s, some guys, some businessmen approached a German clockmaker here in the United States and asked him to invent this machine that didn't exist. And the narrative is that after a few tries, they figured out the prototype and realized it was possible. And after tinkering with it for a little while, boom, the linotype exists. You can't find any information about any of that shit. And the linotype is really kind of crazy because it's basically like a small individual. I mean, I don't even know how it works. They're basically describing a miniature foundry. And so what it is it makes these metal things called slugs. And what you do is you lay out each line O type, that you wanted to make, and each line would be a slug that would come out. And you would lay these slugs down in the frame, and then the paper would go over it. And that's how you would get new pages. And after they printed the pages, they would put the metal slugs back into the linotype machine so it could melt them down and make new slugs. How much energy did this machine require to be able to melt down metal and then, like a foundry, make new little slugs over again? How much heat did these things produce? How did he just invent this shit out of nowhere? This is, again, top 3 invention of all time. And you have no idea what the fuck it is. But you think, if it does exist, I would know about it. Like that, again, the arrogance comes into play where you think that because you don't know about something, it must not exist. What about demons? What about demons? I mean, look, if you could sell your soul to the devil to have the greatest life in the world, I'd do it in a heartbeat. It's not real. Is there more to this realm, this earth, than we think? Yeah, probably. But I know that everything that supposedly taps into that other stuff is supposedly taboo. Well, I'm supposed to believe in Jesus and God and the devil and going to hell and blah, blah, blah. I can't talk about the other stuff. And I don't know about all that other stuff. Maybe. I know that the only way we can find out what's really true and what isn't is if we overthrow the chosen that control the narrative that we live. So what the hell are you saying? Every statement I make, when you know I'm right, you ignore it. What are you even talking? You haven't said anything. You said they were shooting rockets on their own land and sending rockets back. Yes. It's called false flag. They shoot the rock because, again, you want to believe that Hamas somehow smuggles in 5,000 rockets and however many rocket launchers it takes to launch 4 rockets every second for 20 minutes. Yet they can't smuggle in food. They can't smuggle in lumber. And every time Israel has a planned attack ready, one of these groups, these unnamed groups, who then afterward take credit for it on like Facebook or some shit. Every single time Israel wants to attack, one of these groups fires a rocket or two into the Israeli airspace, it gets shot down, and Israel attacks. I mean, this requires more intelligence than someone who believes in the Bible, right? You're someone that believes you need to be told what to think. You're not someone who's gone into the age of Aquarius where you know what to think. You no longer need to be told how to think. You know. That's what the whole Aquarius and leaving the time of Jesus and going into the time of the Aquarius and all of that celestial bullshit that they give us that somehow somebody just knew. It's all wrapped up in the same kind of shit. We're supposed to be getting better, and they're doing everything they can to prevent it. The December 12th or December 21st, 2012 shit, wasn't about destruction, according to the Mayans, at least from what they tell us. Really, we don't know anything about the Mayans. We just know what they want us to know. But that shit wasn't about the end of times. That was about the end of the cycle, the negative cycle. The 12,000 years that were supposedly in our dark ages, to go back, or 12, 13,000 years, 26,000 year cycles where 13,000 are good and 13,000 are bad, supposedly, at least according to some beliefs. The previous 13,000 is when like pyramids and shit like that were built. And then we went into the last dark ages, which were the last 13,000. And then December 21st, 2012 is when we crossed over that barrier, and now we're back into the golden times. Which, if you really look at it, like, boy howdy has the system, sort of freaked out since then. Because we have been seemingly evolving at an insane rate since about that time. And when now you look at this next generation protesting Israel, and that tells you anything. That tells you everything you need to know. How do you think life came about? I don't waste time thinking about shit like that. It's really easy to debunk it because it's stupid. The two narratives that we're given are stupid. I think we're in a more advanced version of us has built a structure that we're in. And it's basically like a reality TV show. There are cameras everywhere. We just don't know them. Or we just don't know it. And yes, it's a dome and all that. But see, that's what I believe. But this requires faith in a way. You have to sort of believe something that, again, we can't know unless we overthrow the Jays that control our narrative. So I don't really like talking about it that much because, to me, it answers all the questions, and it accounts for all the religious bullshit and the science bullshit, and it makes more sense to me than the Big Bang bullshit or the religious bullshit. But what do you think are at the poles of the earth? I don't. I don't think there's anything at the poles of the earth. I don't think there are poles of the earth. Whatever is at the North Pole, probably that black rock bullshit. Again, it doesn't matter. We can't know. Until we overthrow the Jays that control the narrative, that police the air, sea, and sky so we couldn't get there if we wanted to, it really doesn't matter. The most important thing we can do right now is focus on the genocide that's happening and stopping that. Because if we stop that and we overthrow that, that's us overthrowing the people that control the narrative. That's the first step to it. Why is the United States government full of dual Israeli citizens? How many other countries are you allowed to be a dual citizen with and still be at the highest levels of government? It's Israel. That's it. You know what? I'm going to restart. I'm not going to do a big long one next time, but I'm just going to restart because this is bullshit. So we'll do a quick restart. Don't forget to get your download. You'll see the link in the description, www.the-bilderberg.group.com. It's free. Put 0 in the payment box. There's also a link to the Facebook page, facebook.com/the Bilderberg Group Official. Go there, follow. But most importantly, most importantly, pedophiles, kill yourself.